So today we're going to learn about one of our favorite things that farmers grow, and that is apples. Raise your hand if you like apples. I love apples. So can you guys tell us, is an apple a fruit or a vegetable? Raise your hand if you think it's a vegetable. Okay, hands down. Raise your hand if you think it's a fruit. Very good. You're right. An apple is a fruit. Now, raise your hand if you can tell us how we know an apple is a fruit and not a vegetable. Look at all those hands. You guys are smart. Okay, what do you think? That's right. An apple is a fruit because it has
a seed inside.
Has seeds inside, and we're actually going to learn a little bit about that today. Because today we're going to learn all about those apples. Speaking of apples, what's your favorite color apple to eat?
Sometimes I really like the green sour apples.
Green sour apples. Tart. I was going to say, that's a tart apple. I like the Honeycrisp apples. They're actually a combination of kind of red and yellow, right? But what other color apples can we have? Red and green. Very good. Or a combination of all of those different ones. I hope you guys give all the different apples a try. All right, so let's learn a little bit about apples.
Okay.
How should we do that?
Well, maybe we should read a book.
I think we should read a book. Who wants to read a book? All right, our story today is called Apples by Gail Gibbons.
An apple is a fruit. It grows on an apple tree. Apple trees grow in more parts of the world than any other fruit tree. They have been in existence for about 2 million years. The first American colonists brought apple seeds and seedlings with them from England. A seedling is a very young, small tree. As the colonists moved westward, they brought apple seeds and seedlings with them. Some settlers found that Native American Indians had already brought apple seeds west and had apple trees growing near their villages. Many times during the early 1800s, John Chapman traveled throughout the wilderness of Ohio, Pennsylvania, and Indiana planting apple seeds. Also, he gave seeds and seedlings to the settlers there. He became known as Johnny Appleseed. Some apples are grown at home, but most are grown commercially. Each year, about 250 million bushels of apples are grown in the United States, and about 28 million bushels are grown in Canada. A group of apple trees is called an apple orchard. An apple is a firm, crisp, fleshy fruit with a hard center called a core. The core has 5 seed chambers. Look at the picture. You can see all 5 seeds. Those seed chambers are called carpels. In the springtime, flowers called apple blossoms begin to bloom on the apple trees. Each blossom has to be pollinated in order for an apple to grow. The blossoms are usually pollinated by insects or by the wind. Pollination happens when a grain of pollen from a stamen lands on the stigma of another blossom. After a while, the blossoms begin to die and apples start to grow. Throughout the warm summer, the little apples grow bigger and bigger. During the late summer or early fall, the apples ripen. When the trees are loaded with ripe apples, it is harvest time. Workers pick the apples by hand. Some are shipped to stores. Some are used to make apple juice, apple cider, apple jelly, applesauce, and lots of other apple products. Some are sold in baskets at roadside stands. During the fall, it is fun to go apple picking. Also, there are country fairs. Awards are given to the best looking apples, the best tasting apple pies, and the most delicious applesauce. There's apple cider too. During Halloween, there are caramel apples and candy apples. Some people bob for apples. When winter arrives, the apple tree branches become bare. The trees will become dormant until the next spring, when the trees will produce a new crop of apples. Apples have many tastes, ranging from sweet to tart. All apples are different shades of yellow, green, and red, or a mix of those colors. An apple tree will not grow apples until it's about 5 to 8 years old. Each spring, the tree branches are trimmed. This is called pruning. Most apple trees grow to be about 20 feet tall. The soil around the trees should be fertilized. The pruning and fertilizing help produce lots of good apples. Make your own apple pie with the help of an adult. Use the recipe on this page. Here's how an apple cider press works. First, the apples are dropped into the hopper, where they are cut up. Then the apple pieces drop into the tub until it's 3/4 full. Next, the press handle is turned and the apple pieces are squeezed, forcing cider through a cloth filter. Then apple cider flows into the tray and then runs into a container. There are thousands of varieties or kinds of apples. They are nutritious and delicious.
How many of you guys like that story?
I love that story.
I love that story. And I love all of the illustrations in that story as well. And I kind of like all the different things they did with apples too.
Yeah.
What was your favorite thing that they made with the apples? Apple pie, of
Apple
course.
pie.
I should have known. Apple pie.
Applesauce.
Okay, well, we know you like to eat apples. Does anybody remember how many seeds are in an apple? Show me with your fingers. How many? 5! 5 seeds in the apple. Very good. You guys were super good listeners. So because you were such good listeners, I think we should do a fun activity. What do you think? Yeah, I think we should. So today, you guys are going to make your very own apple trees. But we're going to make an apple tree for 2 different seasons.
Ooh, yeah.
Do you guys know what a season is? Yeah, that's like summer, winter, spring, or fall. Very good. Do you guys think apple trees look different in the different seasons? Of course they do.
Yeah,
We learned about that. We learned about that in the story. So in the spring, let's think about that. In the spring, what is on our apple trees? Flowers. Very good. And we can call those apple blossoms, okay? So you guys are going to make a tree for spring. We actually made a sample for you guys. Do you want to see it? Okay. So we have spring. So on one side, you see our apple blossoms.
And
we
what
learned,
color?
Yeah, we learned in the story there what colors? Kind of pink and white. You can do a combination there, okay? Then what has to come to our apple blossoms so that apples can grow? Bees or other pollinators. Can you guys think of what some of the other pollinators are besides bees? Butterflies. Very good. Spiders. Birds. A lot of people don't think of that, right? Especially those hummingbirds.
Yeah.
They're really good at that. And one that most don't think of, they don't really pollinate our apples, but it's still fun to talk about, are bats. Yeah. Bats are good pollinators as well. So when you guys are doing your tree for the spring, you guys are going to go ahead and color your tree, and you're going to color your blossoms. Now we want this tree to look as real as possible. So use pink and white for the blossoms. And if you finish in front of your friends or before your friends, go ahead and draw some pollinators on here. So draw those bees and those butterflies and those birds. Because once those bees and butterflies and birds pollinate, what happens to the blossoms? They begin to grow into apples. And this is what our apple tree looks like in the fall, which is when we go apple picking. Now, Miss Alicia, I noticed that all of your apples are red. How come they're all red?
Because all the apples on this tree are the same type.
So you told us your favorite apple was green. So if you wanted, could you have done all green apples?
Yep, all of them would be green.
Okay, so we can't do red, yellow, and green, though, on the same tree. Now, there are some different stages because all the apples start out as little baby green apples before they ripen into the apples that we consume.
But these
some
are
stay green, but
adult apple. These are full-grown apples,
those
right?
are full-grown.
Those are big ones.
Yeah. So you'll notice there were 10 blossoms. So how many apples are we going to get? 10 apples. That's exactly how it works. All right, so what we want you guys to do now is your teacher has passed out to you guys the blank trees. We have spring with the blossoms and fall with the apples. And now you guys pick your favorite color and go ahead and make your apple tree.
And remember, for apples, you can do green apples or yellow or red.
But not both.
Are you going to have purple apples on your tree?
No. That'd be like a plum.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you guys have fun making your apple trees. We hope you learned a lot about apples today. I know that we did, and we'll see you next time.